All right, let's see what we find out here to start things off. Here we go. Check's going to check the sanctuary. Both of them running checking the sanctuary and finds Fighter Sword right off the bat. Very nice find.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with a weapon this early. And I think Raspberryfloof might be doing Houlihan. Let's see where they go.
Possibility. We find a piece of heart in Link's house. And no, he's going to the left. He's heading over to Lumberjack.
They've proven me wrong. The interesting thing about that, Houlihan is a pretty solid opening that has gained a lot of popularity with Keysanity, because Keysanity, if people don't know, it has all of the keys and the maps and the compasses from dungeons mixed into the item pool. So it's a little bit more layered than your regular rando. And that means that sometimes rupees and bombs can be very hard to come by in the start. So if you do your Houlihan room, you get 225 rupees and you get a solid start with some, so that you can buy the vendor item from in town and get some bombs. And we've seen that these tree pools right now are not doing anything good for us, so they may struggle a little bit here soon.
Indeed, yeah. We found a big 20 both on Uncle and in the Lumberjack, so Lumberjack is out completely. No guessing on that one. We also found a piece of heart in the other chest there in the Uncle's area. Found a big 20 on the mushroom spot. Floof gonna go ahead and pick that up because, yeah, like we said earlier, the tree pool didn't help much, so we need to get some money. And Check's taking the cue from that fighter sword. He's gonna go ahead and do the dungeon area of escape and see if he can get some early items.
With the sword, it's a lot easier. You know, a lot of times you might be forced to do this with just bombs, but if you have a sword, why not? Of course, fun fact, without the Hyrule Castle key, which is technically the most useless key ever, the last two chests in this dungeon are not in logic, past this chest that you see right here, because you could keylock yourself, and logic is set up to prevent you from doing like the worst thing possible. But he gets a Master Sword out of it, which is nice.
Oh, that's a tease. That is a tease. Possible Agaseed incoming. We'll have to see. But yeah, that Master Sword should make things interesting. Floof now going to make the play on Kakariko Village. Not gonna be able to check too much. Only has one bomb, so can only check one of the two spots, but it only has 20 rupees. Oh, there, never mind. Got 20 more there from the tavern. Check's now gonna check the second chest in here. Let's see what he finds, and it's a map to Swamp Palace.
Not especially useful right this second, but it will provide some information later, because in Keysanity, the maps provide you with the knowledge of what is a crystal and what is a pendant, which you cannot figure out without them, or without just defeating the boss and having it drop in your lap.
Indeed. Floof now going to farm some bombs here from the secret hut here in Kakariko. You're guaranteed 4 bombs on each corner, so this is very helpful. Meanwhile, Check's now heading off to the Zelda's dungeon area. He's got to be very careful. Oh, no! What did I say? What did I say?
Yeah, that's going to hurt a little bit, having to go back just for that one chest. But he says no.
He's going to hope that doesn't come back to bite him later, because it could be, if that's an essential item, that could be bad. Floof finding a small key to pod in the chicken shack.
Well, it looks like Chex is going to go ahead and cash in that Master Sword to see the first chest in Aghanim.
Yeah.
Or
you may not have to defeat Aghanim, but completing the Aghanim Tower could very well lead to some items, so those are now mixed into logic. Floof now heading into the well. We got a lot of Chex incoming here. Let's see what we find. Big 20 to start things off. This Chex is taking up those golden knights, but a nice Master Sword, so we can take them right out. What else are we finding back here? A small key to Ganon's Tower. Oh, we find the mirror in the Aga Tower.
All right, so that seems pretty important. And so the logic basically wanted you to go for that one chest and escape, so you can grab the mirror out of Aghanim's Tower. And we see the Tower of Hera, big key in the well. So it looks to me like we're going to get some mountain access before too long and find some progression up in Hera.
Indeed, and the bottle vendor has a map to desert, so we're getting a lot of early dungeon potential here. And we also found Blue Tunic in the well, something else we should mention. And Check's now going to head to the south end, probably pick up a couple of bombs here from these bushes, which has a very high drop rate for bombs. And Floof going to head into the Blind's Hut here. We find a compass for Ice Palace, big heart, literacy, uh-oh.
That's another interesting find.
Yep. Oh, and a map for Hyrule Castle. That's completely garbage.
Early book usually means hit up desert, but in this case, with the Master Sword, the early book could in fact mean progression at either tablet.
Either tablet come into play, and of course, since he's in the area, he might route back and check the pedestal early just to be safe. Oh, hook shot on the library boots, required seed.
And they'll probably get those boots fairly quickly, I would imagine.
Yeah, with the hook shot and up there, you're probably going to be seeing that before too long. The question is where. Floof now going to be seeing that as well here.
So the real question is it going to be the flute, or is it going to be the lamp/gloves that's going to be their way up the mountain?
It's a very good question. Floof now not even going to check the race game. He's just going to go ahead and run it and hope that it's something good. With Keysanity, it makes a lot more sense. You're a lot more likely to find something in the race game. So I don't blame him on that call, but let's see if it pays off.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the blind race call, or blind race jumping. I usually just do that because there's so much more chance of finding a value over here.
And we find something here. We got a small key. What is it to? It is a small key to desert. Oh, yeah, that actually could be very helpful. That's 2 chests right there.
Yeah, so that desert with the book is looking a lot more attractive.
That may very well be our first dungeon play here as Desert Palace. We've got the, if we find the big key for that, that's going to be big. Floof now going to make his play into the castle area. Oh, no, he hadn't been there yet. He's going to head up there, and he's going to get his Master Sword. He might actually see what's in Zelda's treasure chest. And, of course, if he's smart, he'll pick that play into Agatar and get his mirror, which would be very helpful.
Yeah, hopefully he keeps in mind that the Master Sword is worth a chest.
Well, he's doing that. Chex is also making the play in Kakariko. He's going to get the well. He's going to get his items out of these 2 locations. We'll see how that plays out for him. We'll see what these guys do after this. We still have South Shore to route in. We'll see if that changes their routes in any way.
So with the book in hand, it's possible we'll see them go to desert first, but if it were me, I'd probably still go to the mini Moldorms and over to the Ice Rod Cave just to knock out that, because it's 6 more items before you go to desert, just in case you find something else that can help you around that area.
Yeah, actually it's more than 6, because you've got 2 at the dam, you've got 5 in the mini Moldorm Cave, and then of course you've got the Ice Rod Cave, so that's a total of 8 items out there if I've done my count correctly.
Well, that's true. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think you were going to say the same. We're both you kind of forget that the dam is there, and that's still helpful.
I was just blocking it out in my mind because I would have gone mini Moldorms and Ice Rod and then gone Dam and Agana and Desert. So I was just sort of like blocking that out in my mind. But yeah, you're right. It would be potentially worth to do the Dam and then over to mini Moldorms first.
Yep. And of course, we're shouting out to the custom sprites we've got here. Of course, Chex using the outline link, which is kind of sort of invisible, but you can at least see something, unlike the actual invisible link, which is an actual custom sprite. I do not recognize the sprite that Raspberryfloof is using, though. I honestly don't know who that is or what that's from.
I've seen it, but I can't remember exactly which one it is. And the fun thing about the outline link is it used to be a slightly weirder, slightly lighter shade of green, but they ended up changing it because if he was walking on the grass, you just could not see him.
Yeah, that could cause some problems. All right, let's see how Raspberryfloof does here and see if Chex made a very egregious error not getting this chest. He's gonna have to go. He's gonna have to probably bomb himself or find another way out of here. And it's just a piece of heart. So Chex got lucky on that one. And so in chat confirming the Raspberry sprite is Rubia from the Toho franchise. Man, a lot of love for Toho here. Ladies and gentlemen, look where Chex is heading. We get your hypes in chat, folks. We've got pedestal check. He routed the Lost Woods after getting the book, so he's going to check it. What is on the pedestal tonight? It is just a B-Torp.
Well, that's not so. That's not something they're going to go for more than likely. And unfortunately, Raspberry did skip that mirror for now, so I'm thinking though that they might end up being forced into retrieving it at some point to get their progression.
Yeah, they'll get up there eventually. Floof now working on Mini Boulder and Cave, and Chexhuman right behind him. I did not even check to see what was at the dam there, but we'll find that out soon enough here. But let's see what Raspberry finds here. We've got, Power Glove! We've got a piece of heart, 50 rupees, a big 20, and 300 rupees. So a lot of rupees, but we got the Power Glove. And in the dam, we have the map to Thieves Town. Let's see what happens when he drains it. Oh, actually, I think Raspberry did not even check the dam yet. He's heading back that way now. So let's see what soggy item is sitting at the bottom of the lake today. Oh, we got a map. What is it to? It is a map to Eastern. Oh,
that's actually a lot of maps so far. So they're going to be able to build a picture starting out of where they should be concentrating on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with both the maps to both Eastern and Desert in play, they could get a really quick idea of whether or not they need to route those in. Desert being the big one, since we already have pretty much everything but the lamp needed to access it.
So we got a question in chat. Are maps important in Keysanity? Maps are important in Keysanity because, unlike normal other modes, you cannot tell what the crystal and pendant is without the map for that dungeon. So once you find the map, you will know whether it's pendant or crystal and whether it's required. And I like that little ledge skip that Chex did there. It's a lot harder to do on the north end of that room.
Yep. Now compasses are still not important because they do have an extra function here in Keysanity. They show you how many chests you have opened in that particular dungeon. So that could, but you could use that. But for these runners, probably not something you're going to need very much. Floof now going to head into Agnes Cave. And meanwhile, Chex is on his way to Ice Rod Cave. So we're going to see two different items here. Let's see what Raspberry finds. And he finds Hammer!
All right, so the big question is, what's waiting behind this book in Desert? Or was the book just sort of to entice them this way?
Indeed. But that hammer is going to be a big play for Raspberry, especially since he still doesn't have the mirror yet. Once he finds those boots, he has another way up to the... we got a small key to Ganon's Tower. Not necessarily required, but you need at least one key to get up the tower. And we also found Magic Cape on the desert ledge. So that could lead to some things. If Bumper Cave comes into play, we shall see soon enough, as Floof is going to head into Desert Palace.
Maybe the extra item that also gets them into Aghanim's Tower will jog their memory and make them go after that mirror. Alright, so we're about to get the first chest in Desert, just a small key to Pod. That's fairly important. Meanwhile, Back of Escape has yet another map and a big key to Thieves Town, which will be very helpful when they first get into Dark World.
Absolutely.
Of course, without the small key to Thieves Town, nothing is in logic in Thieves Town except for past the big key, except for the Maiden's chest, because again, key choice. So they can defeat the entire dungeon, but they will be sequence breaking for at least 3 things in that, or 2 things in that dungeon if they choose to go all the way.
Indeed, Raspberry now. Oh, there's the lamp in Desert. Uh-oh. That means as of right now, he could... Well, no, he still needs the big key for Desert. We have not found that yet. Let's see what's on the torch. Just a big 20, so at least boots aren't required there, but we know boots are required. We're getting it regardless. Check's now going to check. We've got green pendant is in... Is this even randomized? Green pendant in Eastern. We find mushroom, triple bombs, and a big 20 in Sarasal's closet.
The interesting thing with that lamp is they now have that Dark World or Death Mountain access, which for Raspberry is not going to get them very far without that mirror. But again, Hera seems likely, or the Ether Tablet for their Moon Pearl or some other form of progression.
Yeah, and we'll have to see what happens, but that's going to be a little while yet, because Chex is heading into Eastern Palace. Raspberry Floof he's going to check Lake Highland Island real quick to see what that has, and it's just 5-arrow upgrade. But he's going to be on his way to Eastern as well. All right, so Chex now starting his play on Eastern Palace. This first chest here across the bridge. What is he going to find? And we have just 50 rupees. However, looking at his rupee count, I just realized we could see an early Zora play here. He has enough rupees for it now, and Raspberry's not that far behind.
There is potential for that, but without the Moon Pearl, it's not as valuable because you can't check in the Waterfall Fairy Cave without the flippers. So you'd be going all the way up there just for the Zora items. So if we do see a play on Zora, it's probably going to be one of their last resorts.
Indeed. We find Heart Container there in the second chest in Eastern. So still not finding a lot here, but we might find something soon.
So my hope for Raspberry is that he ends up going back to Aghanim's Tower before he goes up the mountain, but I have a feeling that's not going to happen, and he's going to end up doing some backtracking.
Yeah, I kind of get that feeling as well. Check's now going to check the next chest here. What he's going to find? It's a big key to pod.
Well, it's a good find. Without a couple more small keys, it's not worth too much yet, but it's nice to have it.
And Chex was about to check the big chest, but he was like, oh, wait, I don't have the big key for that. That ain't going to help.
And Korek brings up a good point in chat. With the hammer, it's not just Hera and Ether Tablet on the table. We do have the entire other side of the mountain that we can check out too.
Yeah, once Chex eventually gets that hammer, he's going to be able to check the east side of Death Mountain, which has the Paradox Cave. We've got these Spiral Cave. So there's definitely a lot. And of course, we still have that Ether Tablet, like you mentioned before. So there's a lot of locations to check there. Cyclone Cape was on Desert Ledge.
All right, check system going ahead and sequence breaking back here without the lamp for a tempered sword. Of course, it's not technically a sequence break because the lamp isn't available. He just doesn't know that.
Yeah, but holy cow, we're just over 17 minutes in, and already we've got the Cheeto sword. That is amazing find. Definitely not going to have much damage issues here in terms of this particular seed.
If we see any castle tower keys, I'll start to get worried because tempered sword / cape, I don't know, it usually tells a bit of story, but without keys, we're still good.
Yeah. And plus we've already got Power Glove and Hammer in play. It's just a matter of finding that Moon Pearl, though. That's the one thing you want to find first because, well, if you don't find Moon Pearl, there's always a chance it could be on the Pyramid Ledge.
Check's just going to go ahead and turn this mushroom in.
Yeah, going to turn his mushroom in, and he may route Zora into it. You mentioned earlier that it's not much worth there, but if with turning in the mushroom early, there's a better chance of it.
Almost tries to give it to the wrong guy, but yeah, you don't see people walk up to Zora too often, so it's different if he decides to go that way.
We'll see what happens here. It really depends on what he finds here for the mushroom. Let's see what that turns in for. It is... Ooh, it's a small key. What is it for? Small key to swap.
Oh, that's a nice key to find. Early mirror, early swamp key.
Indeed. Okay, what's he gonna do now? Oh, he's fake flippering. This is not a very common place to fake flipper, but he's going for it.
Oh, interesting. I guess he's just going to go down to that whirlpool instead of saving and quitting to Link's house.
Yeah, it makes some sense.
Because he's about to time there. Yeah, he's about to do the desert play. So yeah, that was, I guess, probably a little bit faster than saving and quitting.
You can fake flipper quickly enough. Yeah, it definitely saves you a little bit of time here. We'll see. And I believe that's where he's going to get his hammer at. So he's going to be happy about that find.
Yeah, and I do think Raspberry is about to do what I was afraid they were about to do, and they're going to go up the mountain without the mirror, and therefore they are going to be stopped a little bit quickly. But they are running low on locations, so they should get pushed to the mirror before too long.
Absolutely, absolutely. At the very least, by doing, this route, while it will still take longer, once he gets that mirror, he'll be able to save and quit and just start right back up the mountain, so it won't cost him too much time, but it costs him enough.
Question in chat. The mirror was in the first chest of Aghanim's tower.
It's a spot that when you're doing any like randomizer in general or even vanilla, you don't think to check that spot very often. But in Keysanity, you have to. And I actually ran Keysanity casually once and had that problem where the flute was in Aga Tower. So, and I absolutely had to have that. We find a piece of heart from the old man here. But you have to make sure you check Aga Tower. Even if you're not going to fight Aghanim, make sure you can at least check those first chests if you can find the first key for it. That way you can get those items because you never know what could be in there.
Yeah, with every different mode, there's always like a list of things just specific to that mode that you got to kind of watch out for. And Aghanim's Tower is one of those things for Keysanity.
Okay, we find 100 rupees there on Spectacle Rock. What's inside the cave? Ooh, it's a small key. Prizer is probably going to check that because that could be helpful. As Chex now finds his lamp.
Hope it's not a castle tower key.
Well, actually, no, he probably wants a castle tower key. That'll encourage him to go up there and get that mirror. All right, and it's a small key for it. Nope, just the Hyrule Castle key.
Well, that's interesting. It puts those two chests in the logic in the bottom of the escape, but those weren't actually worth anything.
Yep. Check's now picking up his cape.
I don't believe we saw a dark sewer check yet either. That's another location I think that's open.
Yeah, but no, we have not seen dark sewer yet.
Raspberry might just decide to go the back way here in a second.
It's a little bit faster this way, I think, especially since he has the key in. He's going right for it. Darius, yes. Chex did get his hammer from Mag in his cave.
Question in chat, what's the difference between a castle tower and Hyrule Castle Key? Hyrule Castle Key is for these sewers down here that you see Raspberry going through right now, and that's the Hyrule Castle Key, and Castle Tower Key is the ones that are for Aghanim's Tower.
All right, let's see what Raspberry finds here in... Oh, Bombos! We got a swirly coin.
That's actually one of the better medallions to find because it has 3 theoretical uses, because it can either be the entry for Mire or Turtle Rock, or it can be your access to Ice Palace if you don't have the Fire Rod or the Fire Rod is locked behind.
Yeah, probably. If you're going to find one of the medallions early, you want it to be Bombos. Chexhuman now got to pick up his small key here from the race game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate since he just came from Desert Palace that he did not pick up that key ahead of time.
That's happened. Right now, I think it's safe to assume that with the items we found, once you get the mirror, Tower of Hair is the play. Because that's the one dungeon you can full clear aside from the basement.
And I do believe Chex is going to make that mountain play now, and he has everything he needs to just really go to town here and pick up a lot of items. So we'll see if he can't find this moon pearl up here with all these spaces to check.
That would indeed be helpful. No, actually, he's going to check. He's going to at least stop and check Lumberjack first, since he's heading up that way.
Okay, so Raspberry's going back to the castle, so there should be only one thing that they can do up here, so they should get their mirror soon.
Yep. I think part of him's gonna be kicking himself for not checking this sooner since he could have. But Jex is gonna make his way here up to Death Mountain, and again, we know what's waiting for him up there, but we don't, at least as far as the basic route. But now that he's got that mirror and the hammer, the question is, what else is awaiting him up top? Answer question, Antiism. The Lumberjack Cave had a big 20.
Alright, so Check's about to get his, what was this? It was a Hyrule Castle key, right?
Yeah, which he doesn't need. He's not going to find anything there except for that Bombos coin, which he could have gotten otherwise. But he'll probably want to check that at some point, depending on what medallions are needed. And then he can start checking the rest of Death Mountain to find out what else is waiting for him. And I'm definitely curious about what we're going to find, because this is the area I like to call the new hype cave with the Paradox Cave, because that tends to have a lot of good items there.
Well, with so many locations, the ideal find would be the Moon Pearl and then the Mitts, so that you could check out Dark Death Mountain as well. Other things that would be great to find besides the Moon Pearl is the boots to get those hookshot off the library.
Absolutely, yeah. Even Cyclone saying the hookshot in the library is such a tease. And now Raspberry, he got his mirror. He's already on his way, so they're pretty much going to be meeting up a little bit here, going up to Death Mountain.
And Check's pulling off that Spec Rock bomb jump, real nice.
Yeah, I don't see that one done very often, so very impressive work. Floof now getting his rupees from Spectacle Rock. He's going to check out the Ether Tablet first before going in any further. And oh wow, the bunny spray looks even better.
All right, so it looks like we have a crystal at Mire and Thieves Town. That might have been a 5-6 at Thieves Town. I couldn't quite tell.
And we found Bloomerang on the Ether Tablet, as Raspberry is going to make his play into Tower of Hera. Now, the only place that Floof can't check right now is the basement, since we don't have that small key, unless this is it right here. We'll know in a minute. Picks it up. Nope, it's a small key to GT.
And small keys to get in his tower are not, if you have the big key, are not entirely necessary, so they're not really exciting to find. Now, if you don't have the big key before you get to get in his tower, those small keys will be worth a little bit more, because if you'll have to search the basement, so you'll need at least a couple of them.
Indeed. Oh, Floof taking a fall there. He's going to have to go back up. Thankfully, he doesn't have to reset everything, because he fell into the right hole for that.
All right, looks like some people saw the map check a little better than I did. Apparently, we have Pendant Swamp, which is interesting with that very early swamp key, and it was just 2 regular crystals at Thieves Town and Mire.
All right, well, that'll help a little. We'll see how that routes into there. Unfortunately, even with Pendant Dungeons, this is randomizer, and with these newer versions of the logic, you want to check those. And we find a small key to Misery Mire here in this upper chest. So now it's just a matter of the big chest, and of course, good old Troll Dorm.
Yeah, that small key is not actually worth anything, because you can fully clear Mire without any of the small keys. The only thing that Mire small keys are worth is to help you with logic, because if you have all 3 small Mire keys before you go into Mire, then that can tell you there is probably something on the left side, the Firelock side, that you're going to want to get.
We also found the Compass of Skull Woods in the big chest. Obviously, that's completely useless. So let's see what everyone's favorite trolley boss has for us here, as Raspberry Floof's going to head up now. Thankfully, with Tempered Sword, Moldorm will not be that bad. Spin and a slash will be enough, and looks like Chex is also going to be meeting up with him right there.
Yeah, we're neck and neck on this Moldorm right now. Raspberry gets him down right away, and Chex should get him down pretty fast too.
Indeed, once you drop just a piece of heart.
He's a crystal at least, though.
That's very true. So we have our first crystal of the race here for Raspberry Floof, and Check's now going to be picking his up. And both of them are now going to head over to the east side. And and see what awaits them in the Spiral Cave. I would bet is their first play, and then Paradox Cave right afterwards. Yeah, but first, Raspberry can check the floating island here. Just a big 20 up there. Indeed, he is heading to the Spiral Cave.
Yeah, this is a little not enjoyable with the without the boots, but then again, like the whole game is basically a walk of shame until you get those boots.
Yeah, get your resident sleepers in chat, folks. Walk of shame here for both far runners.
Cyclone telling us that was Crystal 6 at Tower Repair.
That's what the chat was confirming with him on that. Big 20 in the Spiral Cave. So now it's on to the Paradox Cave, or as I like to call it, the New Hype Cave. Given the lack of items we found so far and what we still need, my thoughts on this being a hype cave is pretty high right now. But let's see if Raspberryfloof could be the first one in here.
It's got to be some form of progression because they're about out of places to look. I mean, other than Zora, but who wants to do that right now?
That's boot! What are those?
All right, well that's their hook shot, so that's nice. So let's see if we can get a moon pearl out of the top half here.
Indeed, yeah, but we called it. We said this was gonna have something. Well, it sure as heck did. Let's see what else it has. We have a compass to Eastern. We have triple bombs. And on the other side, we have a small key to Turtle Rock, the bow, and 10 arrows. Holy cow!
Interesting. So no moon pearl yet. Bow's a really nice find. That leaves them with Bonk Rocks and Zora, I believe.
And I get the feeling that's where Floof is heading right now. He's going to check the Bonk Cave and see what that has to offer on his way back to pick up those that hook shot. But my theory still stands. Paradox Cave, New Hype Cave. There's almost always guaranteed to be something there, and that's never proven wrong. There's our Moon Pearl in the Bonk Cave!
Alright, so we can put off Zora for now. That's Dark World access. And the bow doesn't get them too much right now, but once they work their way over to Palace of Darkness, it'll get them a couple of free items, so it's pretty nice to find before you go in there.
Absolutely. Now, Eastern, even though we have the bow, Eastern Palace is still not in play yet because we don't have the big key. So we're gonna be waiting on that. But Floof heading right over to Kakariko, down to the library. He's gonna be picking up his hook shot here.
Yeah, the bow's not much more than a little bit off their mind at the moment.
And again, Check's right behind him, heading in the same direction. No, yep. No, he's not yet. He's going straight to the Dark World. Oh, I hope he didn't.
I think he'll probably mirror in to get it.
Nah, that makes sense. And no, Darius, because of how out of the way that sewer chest is, Chexhuman does not have the Bombos Medallion. How long if that's necessary, and how long that throws him off, we have yet to determine. We'll see if that comes into play later. But it looks like Chex is going to go straight into Village of Outcasts. He's not going to check Skull Woods just yet. Let's see what he finds over here at the chess game. You find 100 rupees. Well, there's his money back and a big 20. So just a profit.
Well, you could do worse than profiting on that. You know, sometimes you get something really junky out of there.
Yeah, it happens. And he's going right into Thieves Town. Now, we have the big key for it, so we will be able to full clear this dungeon, even though logically we shouldn't technically. We'll see what we find here. Finds a heart piece right off the bat, gets him an extra heart there and a refill.
Yeah, the main problem will be if there's something in the big chest and he ends up orphaning it and then having to come back later. Because it is a bit of a time sink when you have to come back just to do the big chest.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably one of the trolliest locations I've ever seen for items. Raspberryfloof now going to check the bombable hut here. He's going to clear the rest of the village and finds just 5 rupees in there.
So And we'll see if Chex decides to go all the way through, but I kind of feel like he probably will.
Find a 5-bomb upgrade here in Thieves Town and a small key to Pod, while Raspberryfloof finds a piece of heart in the Sea House. So the Village of Outcasts itself not really paying off. But Raspberry now going to head into Thieves Town. Chexhuman already in the back, starting on the back end here. We're going to see what's in that chest upstairs. We've got the Maiden's chest, and of course, Blind himself. One of those three could have something here, but you never know. This is Randomizer.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much divergence from their routes yet, so it'll be interesting to see where they both choose to go from here.
Very nice playthrough on the Hellway there for Chex. He's going to head upstairs now. As Raspberry's finding all the items that Chex has already discovered. He's not going to find much, unfortunately. But let's see what Chex finds upstairs. He's going to set up his bomb, grab this chest. Grab a couple extra bombs while we're at it. Yeah. And, ooh, Quake.
Yeah, it's nice awareness knowing where you can get some extra bombs when you're running low, so you don't end up running out and having to buy some.
Yeah, though the early on, we've already got some upgrades. We've already got some easy access bombs, so I don't think Chex is too worried about that. But you definitely don't want to be careful. You want to be careful of that.
Alright, so he's about to hit this Maiden's chest, which is the only one still, or actually in logic yet. No small keys, so he's going to have to skip this big chest and just hope it doesn't have anything, and that he's not going to have to come back here way later when it's like the last thing that he can possibly do.
And it's only a big 20 in there, unfortunately. That's 2 races now. I just saw the race going on with happening over on SG2, where the exact same item was there, and we got had a clip of Willard calling that. That was funny.
Yeah, were there 28 big 20s, so that's definitely your safe bet if you want to say, well, this is what's coming up.
Definitely is. Chexhuman now starting this fight with Blind. Now it's guaranteed 9 hits to kill, but the good thing about having Tempered Sword is it gives you a little extra range on your attack, making it a little bit easier to hit him. And given how this boss can be, if you don't know the pattern, if you don't know how to set it up, having that extra range can make a big difference.
Yeah, it looks like he got slightly off script, so he's going to pull his cape out here to be safe.
Yeah, you definitely want to be careful on this third phase. You got those other 2 heads hitting him, but he's getting through just fine. Let's see what Blind drops. Just a 5-er.
All right, so Thieves Town wasn't the answer at the moment.
No, but he did need to complete it, so he gets his second crystal here. And Floof not too far behind. So, yeah, very, very similar routing with only slight divergences here and there. Sooner or later, though, these guys are going to break off big time, and that's going to be where we start getting some interesting plays.
So with the Blind fight, he's learning to dodge until you learn the script. Learning to dodge is definitely a good way to get better at that fight. And I can tell you, after a few unfortunate deaths, you definitely pick up some skills when it comes to avoiding fireballs.
I definitely can agree with that. I've had experience with that problem before. Chex now checking all the items that Raspberry checked earlier. And given that he doesn't have Titan's Bit, so he can't pick up Jeremiah yet, but he is going to use his mirror, and like you predicted, he's going to mirror over to the library to pick up his hook shot.
Yeah, he didn't really need it for anything in the village, so that made a bit of sense to just go from the north down and just mirror in real quick and grab it.
Floof now getting a pretty good fight there with Blonde, getting his second crystal here. As Chex is warping back over, let's see where he goes from here.
I imagine he's going to do Digging Game and then South Loop all the way to Hype Cave.
Makes sense to me as well. So let's pay a visit to good old Alec Baldwin and see what he has for us today.
Looks like Raspberry's going to go the other direction with that cave. Check out Bumper Cave and probably Graveyard Ledge. Or maybe just Graveyard Ledge to start. Maybe, hopefully they'll swing by Bumper Cave just to check it.
Oh, we've got a big key for Eastern. Oh, there's our Eastern Palace key. We know it's green. We know it's a pendant, but it's green pendant, so that could come into play.
Now fully in the logic too, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to combo that with Palace of Darkness since they have the mirror, and Raspberry also doing the Bonk Rocks with the mirror, or the King's Tomb, which is unfortunately just a big choice.
Yep, Chex finding a heart container over at Cave 45, or as I call it, the Mirror Cave, because you kind of have to have the mirror to go there. All right, and let's see what Raspberry finds over on the Graveyard Ledge. And at the same time, Chex is going to show us what's that old Stumpy. We have a small key to Skullwoods. Well, it's right nearby. That might be worth considering later.
Like Meyer keys, Skullwoods keys are basically useless except for when it comes to logic. Once you have both small keys, then the game is saying you're clear to kill Mothula. But until then, you're sequence breaking if you choose to go all the way once you have the fire rod and a sword.
Yep, Check's now going to check the bomb shop here. We know one of them is at Tower Hill. The other one is at Turtle Rock. Ooh, Turtle Rock is a Pyramid Fairy Crystal. Not fun. But let's head over.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're heading over to what I like to call the Prince Cave, because it's the artist formerly known as Hype Cave. Let's see how hype it is today.
Just a fiver on the Bumper Cave ledge, so nothing good there. Just a piece of heart starting out here. Let's see, 4 more items. We've got another piece of hearts, some arrows, and some bombs.
Trash cave!
Yeah, not much hype to be had here today. Now, the Turtle Rock Pyramid Fairy Crystal could be good news or bad news, because if it is, with it being a Pyramid Fairy Crystal, that you have to have all 4 small keys for it to be in logic, so that might not be a thing that they have to worry about. But we did get flippers over here in Skullwoods.
Ooh, big find there for Raspberry, especially since that means he could route in a couple places that Chex is at right now. But Chex is going to head over to the Bombos tablet and see what that has to offer. That has not been checked yet.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with what he just found. I would go straight into Swamp Palace as soon as possible.
At the very least, to check to see what items are in there. Yeah, definitely. Even though it is a pendant dungeon, and we find just a piece of heart on the Bombos tablet, unfortunately. So not much here for Chex, but he is heading back over to Desert because he found that one small key. He wants to see what those other two sets had. Now, I believe Raspberry's already checked that and didn't find anything. So not going to pay off for him much there. But Raspberry finds the compass to GT. Well, that's pretty useless.
Yeah, they only have one more chest they can reach here in Skullwoods, and it's in that obnoxious room where you have to fight off the mummies the whole time. But they do have a boomerang to stun them, and they do have a couple medallions if they want to just burn the whole room down.
So I don't usually see a lot of runners do that, unfortunately, but we'll see if how he does. And we'll see if it's worth it. And then, of course, you got those wall masters, which are never fun to deal with, especially if they do grab you and reset everything, making you have to kill all these enemies again. Not what you want to deal with.
So you see how many times you had to swing that sword. Sometimes it's good to just set everything on fire and then go just do your statue in peace.
Yep. I wouldn't say in peace. Again, you still have that wall master, which even if you kill it, it just keeps coming back. You won't leave us alone.
Just for some bombs, unfortunately.
Ish.
So we have Chex going back to the Dark World over here. I'm thinking maybe Pyramid, Catfish, Pod area, something like that.
Oh, that's possible. He still hasn't checked our trash cave here. Or no, he did check that. He's heading up that. Okay.
We'll see if he goes to Pod or to Pyramid.
I'd say Pyramid first, because they hardly have that many small keys. I mean, they only have 2 of them. That's not going to let him to check much. So checking Pyramid and Catfish seems to make more sense, which is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't have the flippers. If he did have the flippers, he could fold a Zora check into the catfish check with the mirror and actually be able to get all 4 of the items up there, but since he did not go to school woods yet, that's a nice find. Since he didn't go to school woods yet, he is going to unfortunately not be able to get all those items there the efficient way. But he is going to go get his Bombos coin medallion right now.
Yep, and Floof also turning in his mushroom, going to get his small key here.
Oh yeah, I forgot he hadn't gotten that key, so now definitely Swamp Palace on the table for him.
Now, and Chex is also going to go back and get that one chest he unfortunately had to leave behind earlier. He's gonna hate that he did all this for nothing. That's just gonna cost him time. As Raspberryfloof gonna head up, and he's gonna head check out Catfish, and like you suggested, probably ride in Zora as well.
Yeah, this is probably the most ideal way to ever have to check Zora.
All right, let's see what the Catfish has for us today. Yep. Ooh, it's a small key for GT.
Okay, so that looks like all of the Gigantus Tower keys?
Pretty close to it, I think. So let's see what the Waterfall of Wishing has for us. We have a Piece of Heart and a small key to Turtle Rock.
All right, Chexhuman going back for the chest, Zelda's chest too. I forgot he died down there.
Yep, that's what I was mentioning earlier. Let's see what Zora's got for us. We've got 2 items here, the ledge and the fish himself. On the ledge, we've got just a Piece of Heart. Pretty sure that's vanilla too. What the heck? But Floof now got to turn in his 500, or he's turning half his money that he's got. Let's see what the big fish has got for us here. For 500 rupees we get just triple bombs. Well, that's a scam.
Alright, I'm feeling like Swamp is pretty much the best option on the table at this point.
And I think Floof might be inclined to agree with you. He's starting back at Link's house here. Let's see if that pays off for him.
I do believe Chex might be dipping into Pod at least a little way though. And he's got the bow, so he can actually get 5 items without any keys, and what do they have? 2 keys? So he can get an additional 3 to 6 items, I guess, depending on which door he decides to open.
Yeah. Oh, actually, Floof is not going to Swamp. He is going up here to Stumpy. He hasn't checked this area yet. Meanwhile, Chex is going to pay off everyone's favorite little extortionist, Kiki the monkey. 110 rupees down the drain.
Now, interestingly, whatever he finds past the initial 6 items or 5 items that he can get without keys, technically not in logic. So the real story might be whatever he finds in the first part. But he is going to do Eastern first, since he has that big key and that bow, and possibly turn in that pendant as soon as possible.
Not a terrible play. That green pendant could always come back to bite you if it has a potential progression item in it. Out of it, so we'll see if that plays off for him. Plus, he can check the big chest and, of course, the armor sights himself. So that's 3 items. That's not too bad to check. And Floof now got to do his run of the digging game, which is helpful because it has that big key that you need. In fact, I think it is the big key to Eastern, so yeah, he kind of needs to do this. If Eastern Palace pays off in any way.
Yeah, we'll see. Sometimes you just get all the progression for pendant dungeons, and it just turns out that the game is just baiting you as hard as possible.
We shall see. Find the Piece of Heart in the big chest. And thankfully, he did pick up the silver, so this is going to be a really quick Eastern Palace for him, which is probably another reason why he was willing to do it, since he knows he can just blaze through it. Silver Arrow is pretty much one-shotting everything in here.
Alright, Raspberry coming back this way. They haven't done Hype Cave yet, I don't think, so they're going to go in here and get their weapons refills. But,
yeah, their ammo refills. Yeah, indeed, they're going to get the trash. But let's. So right now the guys are on Chexhuman. What is he gonna find? As he's about to, he's one room away from the Armos Knights right now.
At least he has silvers going in here too, so that's pretty. That makes this a lot easier.
Yeah, like I said, when you have silvers, Eastern Palace is a joke because you can one-shot everything, including the Armos Knights. One shot per carrot boss, and he drops a small key to Turtle Rock.
Well, that is what is it? The third one collectively, so that is going to be all the keys they need to full clear the dungeon. And well, they might need the fourth one depending on what's going on with either the Pyramid Fairy or with the vanilla big key chest.
Indeed. All right, so he's...
Yeah, he's going to turn in the pendant before he goes to Palace of Darkness.
Clever trick there, using the bomb to circumvent the mirror portal. I've actually never seen that done before, but that works out really well for him.
Yeah, I think it's one of the slightly more obscure tricks.
Big key to Swamp.
Interesting. Well, that'll at least make going to Swamp Palace feel a little better because you can full clear everything. And we'll have to see if it was necessary. Unfortunately, it looks like Raspberry might go in without that key.
Yep, that could come back to haunt him if there's anything in that big chest. But we'll see. He's going to head in there and he's going to set up the Swamp Palace run and see what he finds. Now Chex heading into Palace of Darkness. It's all coming down to these two dungeons. This is that big divergence I was talking about. And when it comes to Randomizer, it's about what gambles do you, what routes do you take, what gambles do you make, and which ones pay off. Chexhuman finding a compass desert starting things off. Not a good start for him, but we still got plenty of items to check in here.
Yeah, and just as a note, he does in fact have 3 keys, not 2. So I guess we missed one along the way. So that means everything, the 3 chests in the back, once you open the door to the back, are also in logic, or they should be.
Yep, though after that, though, he will have to find another key in order to get to the back end, because you need at least 4 or 5 keys to check all the items.
Yeah, he can break some logic with the hammer jump and get extra items. We'll see. I'm pretty sure he knows it. So.
The way he's been bomb jumping already, it wouldn't surprise me. But we'll see if he finds anything here. He's going to set up the bomb hole here while he checks this chest, finds another 5-hour upgrade. It's not finding much so far here. Guard container, that's nice to have, but still not much.
And the skip that he's doing now is pretty valuable for saving keys, but it is a little bit more annoying when you have to go through the mimic area at least twice in order to clear out items.
Indeed, he's trying to set up to get across that gap, but he's and he got it. And for half magic, not bad.
Yeah, not progression, but definitely a nice find.
It's one of those items I always say, never required, but always nice to have.
Well, technically it can be required for Spike Cave under certain circumstances, so I guess it's progression.
And we also found the shovel downstairs, not a bad find for him as well, and he's going to go back around to hold on to that key as long as he can hold on those 3 keys as long as he can. And Raspberry now going to be working on the left side of Swamp, making sure to grab this key before he floods the room, because you do not want to make that mistake. Oh, wait a minute. Is Chex going straight? Oh, no, he's doing the mimic room. What was I thinking? Like, I know he wouldn't be dumb enough to go straight to Helmasar King now.
Yeah, he's still got a lot of items on the table back here, but before he would be considering that.
Besides, the last thing you want to do is risk a potential soft lock if you don't get that, you don't get all the items first.
And got that skip a little easier this time.
Yep, he was trying to go. Well, he was thinking about going around.
Well, he was resetting the room so that the needles wouldn't be right in his face when he tried to jump back.
Oh, is he? He's gonna set up the bomb hole here. And then he's gonna check these back chests here. He's trying to get past this Hellstar, but it's not playing nice with him. Yep, hook shot time. Just skip right past. All right, Floof now gonna check the left side of swamp here, and we got a small key. 4 pod. Oh, one of the pod small keys in pod.
Yeah, that puts this back stuff in logic a little bit more.
Yep, and we found
Not the
nothing in swamp.
Yeah, not the room he was just in, obviously, but I think that was our last Turtle Rock key, maybe, or no? Yeah, it was one of them. Should have.
Ooh, Titan's bits.
Yeah, that's some good progression. I think we had 4 Turtle Rock keys between all of them, but I could be mistaken.
That sounds about right. 4 keys in total. And in fact, that's actually what the tracker's showing too for their checks. So yeah, 4 keys so far.
Yeah, those
not
mids.
Gonna do hammer yet.
Oh, he's going. He's resetting it. Those mids open up a lot of good locations, so that's a nice find. And that last pod key might have been, I think, that vanilla one was so that was fully on logic.
And hammer jump, one of the trickier bomb jumps to do. In fact, between this and, of course, the Ice Palace bomb jump are 2 of those bomb jumps you want to master if you want to get through here. Gets a piece of heart out of the big chest. Now he's going to head into the dark maze. Thankfully, he has the lamp, so it's not that bad. Otherwise, this is probably one of the trickier dark rooms to do. And flute!
Right, that's interesting. That flute is not actually in logic yet, but it is a very nice find coupled with those mitts because you can get some intel.
And, oh, we got a swag net as well.
Well, we did just pick up a 5th pod key in Swamp, so that does get it a lot closer to logic, but it should be 6 keys total. And we got the cane.
Oh, someone call Phantom Ryu, because that's gotta be Kane.
So Swamp definitely played Pendant or not. And in fact, between the 2 of them, we just got the Meyer care package minus the big key. So I believe he's only got he's got 2 doors left to open and 2 keys. So let's see if he's going to check this vanilla big key. It looks like he's going to go to the boss, but he does have the key that he needs to get the last item. So this is fun.
Yep, no problem here. Raspberryfloof finding a big key to Misery Mire off of Argus. So that might come into play later, but he does get his red pendant.
Okay, so between the 2 of them, they got the full care package for Meyer because we have just found the mitts, the flute, and the big key for Misery Meyer, and the cane. So between the 2 of them, if they can go to the locations that each are in now, they will be able to full clear Meyer.
Ah, that could come into play. We don't know if Meyer is a pendant or a crystal yet.
Actually, we do know it's a crystal.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We do know it's crystal. So the question comes down to is which medallion is required for it. We've got 2 of the 3, so they have to hope it's one of those 2 and not ether.
That is true. We do have a slight chance that they can't get in there yet, but the odds are at least in their favor.
Floof now going to mirror over here to check Hobo. See if that has anything.
It's actually pretty nice routing to work him in over here.
Absolutely, especially since you can warp back and do pod right afterwards. Let's see what the Hobo has. Just a big 20, unfortunately.
So hopefully Chex will go to Swamp straight from here and not get distracted by these mitts and go do a lot of other stuff. And the flute also, because what he needs for Meyer is in Swamp. And otherwise, he might end up making a couple trips there.
Indeed. Chex now starting his fight on the Helmsword King. 17 swings with the hammer. And he'll have to decide whether or not he wants to do sword strats or arrow or bow strats. If he does sword strats, it won't take long, but with bow strats, it could be one-hit kill. Looks like he's going sword strats. Meanwhile, Floof got to pick up his silvers here from the pyramid. And nice fight there for Chexhuman. Let's see what the big blizzard has for us here. Just a big 20. And drops a crystal.
And chat makes a good point. Actually, the first thing Chex needs to do is go to Skullwoods and then to Swamp.
Yeah, he needs to get those flippers. But Floof now, he is making the play on pod. He's only got 3 keys, but we know there'll be a 4th one in there, so he should be in good shape.
Yeah, I don't know if he knows the bomb jump. We'll have to see what he does.
And Chex is going to head back into pod to check that last chest there. He's still got 1 key left, so he'll be able to play this up.
And unfortunately, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, he saved that last key up, making sure he had the 1 key he needs to get upstairs.
Yeah, you're unfortunately seeing the consequences of having to work around not having enough keys here. We've seen this room about 4 times already.
Yeah, that can be a pain, but it's either that or risk the soft lock. So I think he's making the right call here.
Yeah, and you never can tell where all the pod keys are going to be, so you don't want to have to get your last pod key from Laser Bridge so you can get the last item out of pod.
Especially if it is a progression item.
So with these mitts, the Chex does have a lot of options open to him, so we'll see if he lets them take him on a wild goose chase or if he gets on the right thread with the Skullwood Swamp play. But he might just go... I was going to say he might just go straight to Meyer just to get the intel.
Ooh, good call on that. He got the fire rod.
Yeah, that is kind of important. That might actually send him in the right direction immediately. Although we do have some access to Ice Palace with that, but yeah, I feel like Skullwoods is the better play in his situation with him picking up that fire rod.
Yeah, he definitely seems like he's going the right direction for it.
I was going to say, plus he has to come over here to activate the food anyway, so that's another good reason to be in this area.
Indeed, and I think that's what he's going to do while he's here in town. Nope, he's going... Oh, now he's thought about it. He just realized, oh yeah, I've got that flute. I need to activate it. So everyone please rise for the Link to the Past National Anthem. And ladies and gentlemen, the goose is loose!
To answer chat, we are up to 5 pod keys because there was 1 in Swamp, and Raspberryfloof should be getting their 5th one here in pod momentarily. But somewhere that 6th key is available since we had the fire rod in that 1 chest.
Yep. Yeah. Nonetheless, he played his routing right, so he didn't need it, and that works out for him here. Chex heading into Skull Woods. He's going to be able to get his flippers and maybe even a couple other items depending on what we find on the back end.
Now, if Floof doesn't know the bomb jump, hopefully they choose to open the vanilla big key chest instead of killing Helmsaur. So that would, I mean, if they had to choose one thing to have first, I would rather have the fire rod before I had that crystal.
Oh, yeah, and Chex does not have the big key to Skull. Thankfully, we know we don't need that just yet. And thankfully, the Skullwood's big chest is not a hard chest to get back to, so it's not a big loss if you do come back to it. Also, thank you to Sendries316 for the $4.99 resub. Thank you for your continued support, my friend.
Alright, Chex with his flipper, so hopefully with all the stuff that he's found, he's got Swamp on his mind. But we'll get to see what we have in the back of Skullwoods here momentarily. And actually, I just thought about it. With finding that 5th key, your Raspberryfloof actually doesn't even need to do the hammer jump if they don't want to or don't know it, because with 5 keys, you can full clear Palace of Darkness as long as you don't use the front door.
Yep, pretty much. If you know what you're doing, 5 keys is enough, and I think that's what he's going to be doing, so that'll work out for him here in the end. As Chex now getting his triple bombs here from the back end, from the mid part of Skull Woods, and then handing himself over to the back.
Yeah, they're just not even doing the bomb jump, which is fine. With 5 keys, I don't know that. Well, I don't know the bomb jump anyway, but with 5 keys, I don't know that I would bother doing it.
Understandable. It's one of, like I said, it's one of the trickier bomb jumps to learn. So I don't blame him if he doesn't do it. All right, Chex now using that fire rod. He is now in the back end here of Skull Woods. He's going to go straight for Mothula. Thankfully, with Temper Sword, this shouldn't be too difficult to fight. And plus, he's got that fire rod and half magic, so that'll work out for him in the end.
Yeah, Tempered Sword, it's, I believe, 4 hits, so... And if you have the boots, you can set up a dash to dash poke him at the very beginning and get 2 hits for the price of 1, so that's very, very handy.
All right, Chex now starting his fight with Mothula here. Of course, you do have that problem with this. If you bounce him into the spikes, it negates any damage done to him, even whether it be by you or the spikes. But he gets a good fight on there. Takes out Mothula. What item will he drop? Just a 5-arrow upgrade, but he does. Oh, and that's the blue pendant.
All right, so that should be all of the pendants, so we know all of the crystals now. So that should make Ice Palace a crystal and Desert a crystal. Doesn't look like we had marked it.
Nope, Desert. Yeah, Desert is a crystal because we know Eastern, Swamp, and Skull are 3 pendants. All right, but he's going to check that back chest here just to make sure he doesn't miss it. And he's going to get his mirror immediately ready. Just a heart container.
And Raspberry... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Raspberry's going to the back with still 2 keys left, so they still need to go pick up their fire rod. Hopefully they don't leave that chest behind.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to forget that, considering how important that fire rod is at this point. Even, with Turtle Rock in play, both rods need to be found. Chat brings up a very good point. We have still not found a bottle at this point, and if the sick kid has anything, that could be huge.
That's a fairly unlikely scenario, but it would be pretty interesting to see that happen. They do still have a lot open to them. For instance, Full Clearing Mire, Mire Shed, Checkerboard Cave, and Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, I honestly don't see it happening, but again, you never know.
Oh, I'd be totally fascinated if it did happen.
Same here. If all of the bottles are in Ganon's Tower, and Sick Kid has the ice rod or something, so you have to get the B-Torp off the pedestal. There might still be some hope for this. It's very slim, but you want to hope for that. Hold on to that last glimmer of hope.
Well, I don't know if I'd hope for that for the sake of the runners, but I would be very interested in seeing it happen. Just not I'm not gonna wish for it, but if it happens, I'll be entertained.
And just to note, our tracker Cyclone just messaged me saying he actually tried to make a Plando that way, with 3 of the bottles in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, with the Plando, I could definitely see that being a thing. And Raspberry's about to turn in their flute, or activate their flute, and I would think that based on everything they have received, that they might just go straight to Mire.
Yeah, but notice they did not go back in the pod. They do not have their fire rod. They have just made a very egregious error here, and they don't know it.
Yeah, that could come back to hurt them a little later, but they do have a lot of options on the table right now, so... Back of Skull Woods wasn't really anything too interesting, so at the moment it's not hurting them. But yeah, they're gonna want to go back there, and unfortunately, it might be the very last thing that they do. But apparently, we're back in the Dark World, not going to Meyer just yet. Looks like he's going to take his mitts and start the Smith chain.
Oh, it hasn't been checked yet. There could still be something there. Plus, we still have the purple chest in play as well, and Peg Cave. So, yeah, with the amount of potential items here, this is not a bad call.
Yeah, it could just be planning on doing this and then fluting right over to 6 from the chest drop-off. Question in chat, yeah, the fire rod was in the big key chest in pod. They did have enough keys to get to it, but they chose to ignore that chest for now, which can be a safe bet a lot of times, but it's going to hurt them in this case because that is a major progression item.
Indeed. Peg Cave, we find a small key. Oh, there's the Aga Tower key. That could come into play later. But in the meantime, he's going to turn in Jeremiah and find out what he has to offer. All right, what are these smithing today? We have... Oh, looks like they've been making some making counterfeit rupees, it looks like.
Alright, so get the chest, probably go flute over. Well, he's trying to flute before he mirrors, which isn't going to work, but probably go over to the desert and then drop that chest off and then flute over to 6 and go to Myra, I would imagine. It is a full clearable dungeon, so it is a well, assuming that they've got the right medallion, which is something I would want to check pretty fast. So it is a good play to head that way.
Indeed. Oh, and the purple chest. Oh, there's the Ganon's Tower big key off the purple chest.
All right, so that removes a lot of questions for later. Oh, they got the shovel, didn't they? He's going to do that first.
Yep.
I could see wanting to do this while you're thinking about it. It's kind of in an out of the way spot, and you don't want to forget about it and then have it be something later.
Indeed, let's see what he finds. Oh, just a compass. He's not even gonna bother to see which one it is. And Chex is making the play on Ice Palace.
This is also a decent play. Without the big key, the finishing it isn't in logic, but you don't need the big key to finish it. So sometimes it's worth it to just go ahead and come in here and knock it out.
Yeah, we'll see which one of these guys makes the better play here. Raspberry going to check the Myers Shack. Probably even route in Checkerboard Cave, either before or after the dungeon. We'll see what he decides to do there. But let's see what we find in the Myers Shack. We find a single rupee and a compass of Feastown. Well, that's pretty useless right now.
So hopefully there's some progression in Ice Palace other than just getting the crystal, because Jack still hasn't gone to Swamp to get his Misery Mire package.
Indeed, we'll see. Finds a piece of heart to start off with, and it's Quake for Myers, so he is able to go in. He made the right call, it looks like. We'll see if it plays out item-wise.
Well, if it doesn't, he's at least got a crystal, and he will have all the locations off of his mind, because he can access every last one of them. Whereas for Ice Palace, you do have the Ice Palace big chest you can't get to without the big key, so that could be an issue later on if something happens to be there.
We shall see if that comes into play here. Floof now making his start on Misery Mire. Let's see if his routing's in good shape here.
Yeah, and for our go mode at the moment, looks like we need Ice Rod, Desert Big Key, and Turtle Rock Big Key, and that should be it. But those items have a lot of places they can be, including right there in Misery Mire, where Raspberryfloof just picked up the Turtle Rock Big Key.
It's like it knew.
So that's down to 2 items for us to be in no mode.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, red tunic there for Floof. That's always helpful. Again, never required, but having that little extra safety certainly won't turn it down. Check's now checking the further in here on Ice Palace. Still haven't found anything of importance yet, unfortunately, but things could change very quickly here in this particular area. Floof finding a small key to Skull Woods. That's pretty useless at this point. We know we don't need it, but let's see what else he finds here. As Check's now checking the major item area here in Ice Palace. If he's gonna find something, it's probably gonna be here. And he finds a small key to, oh, there's the other Agate Tower key, and Floof finds finds the map to Ice Palace. Kind of useless at this point since we now know where all the crystals are.
Yeah, and we only need the one key for Castle Tower, which I think they each have a different one. So the second one's pretty useless at this point. We don't even necessarily need that one key, but in order to get that last item, if it happens to be anything, they do need that one, at least one.
Pretty much.
Question in chat, yes, Raspberryfloof did not use their last key to open the last chest and get their fire rod. So they're going to need to go back to pod at some point, which is unfortunate because that's probably something they're going to put off for a long time.
Indeed, Floof now doing the torch room here. Since he does not have that fire rod, he's going to have to do it the hard way. Pushing all those blocks out of the way, but now for the slowest cutscene of the game, he checks finding the other, there's the other pod key we were looking for.
Well, maybe if Floof comes into Ice Palace and gets that key, they'll have that on their mind because they can just use the front door. It'll be a lot easier to get to.
Jax, did you forget something? You don't have that key.
Unfortunately, Floof does have a lot of things that they can check right now, so they may not go to Ice Palace for a little bit either. Alright, heading
It's
towards
actually
this.
interesting. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I wasn't going to say anything important.
I was gonna say, it just dawned on me that with as many items, as few items as we have left to find, we still have a lot of big locations. They still haven't checked Dark Death Mountain, which includes the Super Bunny Cave and the Hookshot Cave. So there's still plenty of places left to find those items.
Yeah, it's a case of having two items that can be in quite a few places. I mean, the Ice Rod can be just about anywhere, and then the Desert Big Key is, I mean, anywhere but inside the desert. So that has a lot of stuff on the table, including all of Turtle Rock.
Indeed. Unfortunately, I think Floof has pretty much checked everything here in Mire and found absolutely nothing. So aside from this being a crystal dungeon, this was a wash here for Floof.
Yeah,
and again, Ice Palace didn't pay off either.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see one or the other, maybe even both of our last items inside of Turtle Rock.
Or at least Dark Death Mountain in general. I think that at this point, that's where those items are hiding. But we shall see. Is Check's now going to make his fight on Cold Stare, and Floof is on his way to Vitreous.
Yeah, gonna have to be a little careful. He has silvers, so it's not gonna be bad as long as he, aims good. But can't take any hits to speak of.
Indeed, Check could not get the corner trick on Cold Stare, but with the Tempered Sword, not a hard fight at all. What does he drop? Red Meringue. So Ice Palace complete bust.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Vitreous has anything interesting. Which at this point, if it's not the Desert Big Key and not the Ice Rod, would not really qualify. Well, I guess unless it's the powder, because, fetch quests.
Yeah, that could always come into play. Chexhuman now going to head up to Dark Death Mountain, it looks like.
Or one of our mythical bottles.
All right, Floof now starting his fight on Vitreous. It's down to one heart. He has to be very careful here. But he gets through before the eyeball can even shoot off its electricity. And 2 shots with the silvers, and it's down. Very nice fight there for Floof. And it drops a heart container.
Yeah, so Mire, pretty big bust. Ice Palace, pretty big bust. So let's see if Dark Death Mountain has anything good for us. Looks like Raspberry hasn't done the checkerboard cave yet, so we can also get a check-in on this.
Indeed, we're going to see 3 items here pretty quickly. Let's see what Chex finds. He finds a small key to Hera. Oh, there's the basement. And 50 rupees.
Yeah, a small key to Hera is not something you want to see at this point when you have 2 items left. Well, he has a lot more than 2 items, but it's just not something you want to see once you've cleared Hera, because it's essentially a fetch quest at that point, and not a short one.
No, it is not. But thankfully, he's still got plenty of other places to check. He's going to head into the Hookshot Cave now. Let's see what we find there. Well, there's our bottle, so that ends that problem.
I stand corrected. Floof is actually going to go Ice Palace before they go to Dark Death Mountain, so hopefully that key will jog something in their mind to go back to Pod.
Indeed, and then when we find that that's Turtle Rock in there, so Hookshot Cave not really paying off all that much, though that bottle of blue goo is nice for 2 different reasons. And he's going to go see what medallion is required for Turtle Rock. It is Bombos. So Turtle Rock is accessible, though I don't know if Chex has the Cane of Samaria, so he may not be able to go into it, but he's at least going to open it up.
He has not been to Swamp yet, which is where the cane was in the back of Swamp, so...
That's right.
Yeah, like, once again, he's got to go to Swamp before too long. But he is running low on locations, so he's going to be forced in there pretty soon.
Indeed. Floof now got to make his run on Ice Palace. Of course, he's not going to find anything new here because he also does not have a big key to ice. So it's going to be pretty much all garbage for him as well. They both have to hope that that big chest does not have what they're looking for.
Yeah, actually, I say Chex is running low on locations, but he hasn't been to the mire area yet, and he can get, at least 6 items in mire, so he might choose to do that before diving Pendant Swamp, but let's hope he doesn't.
And it's just now Chex realizes, oh wait, I don't have the Cane of Samaria. Kind of need that. Because even if you're a hovering god like Andy, doing Turtle Rock without the Cane of Samaria is pretty much impossible.
Yeah, hovering is a nice trick, but it's pretty obnoxious to do, like, for an extended period of time. Like, it's hard on the fingers. Well, he's going to do Hera basement, and just go ahead and do that right away, and probably Spike Cave after this, because he does have half magic, cape, and plenty of hearts.
Certainly not a bad call to make.
Yeah, it's always better to clear the mountain while you're here, even if it's something as crappy as having to sit through this Tower of Hera tile room.
And it looks like Chex is not going to do the invincibility strats. He's going to do a little dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Or at least at first. Now he's setting it up. And he gets it. So now it's bathroom break. All right, let's see if if his patience is rewarded. Gonna light up these torches. Thankfully, he has a fire rod, so it's an easy setup there. And he gets the big key for deserts. That certainly was helpful.
Okay, that was definitely worth sitting through. So now the big question is, where is the ice rod? That also distracts him a little bit further from Swamp, though, where he needs to go.
Indeed, though, you did call this earlier. He is indeed going to go ahead and check Spike Cave to see what that has to offer.
So maybe they'll get lucky and find the ice rod somewhere and be able to go mow Turtle Rock, which you don't get to do often enough, but ice rod likes to be in Turtle Rock, so we'll have to see.
Yep, only a piece of heart, unfortunately for Chex, not what he was hoping for. So the search is on. We are still looking for that ice rod. And for Chex, he still needs to find that Cane of Samaria. He needs to go to Swamp at some point.
Okay, yeah, so he's got that big heated desert, so that's another reason for him to go to Mire before Swamp. So he's probably going to dive into Mire for those 6 items and end up wasting a little bit of time and having a double dip, because everything that he needs to complete it is over in Swamp. But he does get the ability to defeat Desert, so that's okay. And there's that pod key for Raspberryfloof, so hopefully that makes them go back to pod, since they will be able to open the front door and not have to do all that nonsense with the mimics.
All right, so we're seeing a lot of similar routes here from Monroe. So I'm going to take this opportunity to remind you folks, if you're enjoying seeing both Chexhuman and Raspberryfloof with this run, please be sure to give them a follow on Twitch. They're working their butts off for your entertainment, so show them some love, folks.
And also shout out Star Tracker Cyclone. It can be a little hectic trying to keep track of everything and keep the audience informed of where the race is at. And shout outs to Speed Gaming for putting on this show. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. The admins are doing a lot of work for us, and there's a lot going into setting all this up.
Indeed. Check's now checking the big chest here. Single arrow in desert. Not what he was looking for.
They call it the floating island because it basically looks like it's isolated and just sort of not attached to anything. So it's sort of like floating in space. I mean, yeah, logically speaking, it's probably attached to something, but we are in video game land, so that's where the magic happens.
Exactly. Floof now starting his fight on Cold Stare. Of course, we're not going to find anything there, but it is a crystal, so he had to complete it anyway.
Alright, and then we get to see what do the land moles hold for us. Could it be the ice rod? I have my doubts.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Also, comment on something that was spoken in chat. Adrian, if that happened, please let the Randomizer admins, developers know that if that can happen, they might want to make sure they fix that.
That might be a vanilla bug, to be honest. It sounds like something that would have happened from the vanilla development.
Yeah, still, probably better let them know. We got a small shield. First shield there for Chexhuman, but he gets his crystal. At the same time, Raspberry gets his crystal off of Cold Stare. So now it's a question of what's next.
One in ice and one in desert, but sort of sync. But to address a little bit more on the softball, there's actually a lot of things like that from the vanilla game where you can just clip into a wall randomly. And it's not anything that the developers can necessarily do anything about because of just the way the game is programmed. There's some weird stuff that can happen to you if you swing your sword or spin your sword at the wrong time. You can, in Thieves Town and also in Ganon's Tower, you can make all of the enemy sprites disappear and have to reset the dungeon entirely, which is again another thing that's from the vanilla game and not something that the Randomizer developers really have any control over.
Yeah, and to be fair, if that kind of bug, you can up A and reset everything, so it's not a completely game-breaking bug. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, to be honest.
There's a lot of fun things that can happen. I've seen some really weird soft locks, even some with wall masters, where you get grabbed in Ganon's Tower and you can't move, and you're just like stuck in place and can't. You just have to like save and quit.
And I just realized I said up A instead of just save and quit. Wow, I am tired. I am tired, folks.
Yeah, I would imagine that Chex will be in Stomp soon because he doesn't have a huge amount of locations once he gets done in the mire area. So he's going to get kind of funneled in there. Whereas Raspberryfloof can do a lot in Turtle Rock right now, even without the fire rod, if they so choose. So who knows what they'll choose to do.
They might consider doing that Turtle Rock play eventually. I mean, for them, they don't really have much else they can do. We know Desert isn't paying off for them, so yeah, that might be their next play.
Yeah, if it was a case between one chest and pod and going fire rodless and Turtle Rock and maybe getting like 10 or 11 items, I'm not sure which way I'd go, to be honest. Yeah, Karek makes a good point that Chex needs to do the purple chest too, because if he doesn't do the Smith chain before he goes to Swamp, then he might end up just ignoring it for more, potentially important checks in his mind and not getting the Ganon's Tower key.
The last thing you want to do is to go into Ganon's Tower without the big key, if it's actually outside of Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, it can be easy to do in this mode if you get into go mode without the Ganon's Tower key, and the Ganon's Tower key is just in some one-off location. And you in that case, your situation is, do you do one-off locations, or do you just go to Ganon's Tower for 22 chests? And the answer is usually Ganon's Tower. Meanwhile, Raspberry's going to do that Turtle Rock play without the fire rod. They're going to be able to get a lot of chests here, but unfortunately, they're not going to find their fire rod.
Nope, and with that, they won't be able to full clear this dungeon. Not only is there those 2 chests early on, but of course you need the fire rod for Trinax, which he won't be able to finish off. He'll get to the laser bridge and then have to exit out, which for this dungeon is not a good thing to have to deal with, because that's a long trek back to make another try at it.
And we're getting Sick Kid Check, who has just a compass, so that bottle was not important. And it's a decent possibility that they'll find the ice rod in here, which won't really help them as far as completing the dungeon because they don't have the fire rod.
Indeed. Find triple bombs in the chain shop room. Not much there. And what is Chexhuman up to here?
I think he's actually going to do the Smith chain, so he should be good with the Ganon's Tower key.
Yeah, if he remembers to do the purple chest, he should be just fine. And I doubt you'd forget something like that.
Yeah, well, since he has the mirror, he doesn't have to take the frog on a world tour, so that makes getting the purple chest a lot easier. Alright, he had all, he didn't have all 4 keys, it looks like, so he just went ahead and checked this center chest.
Yep, and only finds a big 20, unfortunately.
So they're gonna have to track down that 4th key, too, which I think we already have from between all 4 of them, or between both of them.
Chex has all 4.
Yeah, Floof can't have all 4 because he's only got 1 left to get to Laser Bridge, but Chex does have all 4 marked. We'll see if we can't grab his menu to check. I'm pretty sure I saw 4 of them between all of them, though.
Well, again, we've had to have seen all 4. Chexhuman has all 4 keys. So once he gets his Canis of Mario out of Swamp, he'll be able to full clear Turtle Rock if the ice rod is there.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of where Floof had not been that Chex has and wasn't coming up with too many options there.
Most likely Meyer, I think, had a couple of them, or at least one of them. But he is going to check Mimic Cave. Again, he's still looking for both those rods, we're hoping that the ice rod's here at least. Let's see what he finds. He finds just a heart container. And there's the ether medallion in the big chest.
Yeah, unfortunately not worth much in this seed.
Nope. We've already opened up both Mire and Turtle Rock. We know that ether is pretty useless at this point.
Alright, so Check's gonna get his Ganon's Tower big key, which is good news for him, and there's the Ice Shroud and Turtle Rock.
There it is.
What a big surprise. Ice Shroud loves to be in Turtle Rock.
Yep, so we are in no mode. Not full go mode for either of our runners, but we are in no mode. And as soon as Chex does get that cane out of Swamp, which it looks like that's where he's heading now, he will pretty much be on his way to go mode.
Yeah, it was actually pretty smart to grab the purple chest and come over here because you have to mirror anyway right near the swamp. So doing this as a doubling this up is pretty good. So Chex will be pretty much limited. Well, he'll be able to finish Mire, and then he'll be pretty much limited on the checks that he has left, and will probably know that there's a good chance that the Ice Rod is in Turtle Rock, and he'll be able to single dip that. So that's unfortunate for Raspberry. It's going to put them a little bit behind. They still have to get the Desert Big Key, and they still have to go back to that Fire Rod.
Yep. Chex, the only thing that's holding him back is the big key in Mire, which I believe was in here, so he won't have to take too long to find it.
Korek, I think the cane was first, and then the Mire key was back in the back.
And we've got Butter stored on Laser Bridge.
I could have the order wrong, and it might have been the cane second. We'll just have to find out, but yeah.
Fortunately, Floof realizing now the Fire Rod is not here, so he's going to have to exit out. But he does have Butter Sword from here on out, so he's in much better shape.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think the cane was in the back, and then the key was on Argus. So that could be... Yeah, that could... If he doesn't want to kill Argus, that could be an issue.
But if he has to go all the way back to get the cane, he probably will just go ahead and kill Argus and be done with it. Like, if it's right there, you just get it over with.
Yeah, that's a smart play. So I would imagine that he probably will just go all the way. Because going all the way back in this swamp is pretty obnoxious.
We find out that the big key for Skull Woods was in the big chest in the swamp. That's pretty useless at this point. There's nothing that could be in that big chest.
Yeah, Floof checked it earlier. I can't remember what it was.
Floof now doing his play on basement, which is smart because we know that's the big key to desert, which he does need. So that's going to work out for him in the long run.
Yeah, once again, it's always just smart to clear an area entirely in Keysanity. You can skip if you're feeling, a little dangerous, but, when it's something way up on the mountain, like, the mountain's definitely one area, or like, say, in the back of swamp, like we were talking about, that's stuff you don't want to, that's something you don't want to just, like, randomly skip, because it can be a real time sink to come back to. So I'm not sure how much Raspberryfloof really has left after Desert, so they might be running low enough on options to end up being forced back into Pod before too long.
We'll have to see. He's definitely trying to consider his options at this point because he doesn't know what else is left. But we'll see where he floats to. And he's off to Mire. No, he's up to Desert, my bad. Desert, not Mire. See, folks, this is what happens when you're starting to get super tired. You tend to forget what's going on around you. Oof. did not think I was gonna be this exhausted or this sleepy before midnight.
Yeah, they're both getting down to the wire as far as things that they can check. So I would imagine one of them is going to be in go mode in say, 15 minutes maybe.
Give or take. See, I like your guys' idea, but here's the thing. Even if they don't know at first, if you keep putting items on the pedestal, eventually they're gonna catch on and they're just gonna go ahead and do it anyway, which ruins the fun.
To answer in chat, yeah, Raspberry saved and quit and didn't give themselves a portal to Trinex, but they would have lost it regardless because they have to go to the Dark World to get Fire Rod from Pod anyway, so that portal would have not been saved. There's the cane for Chex, and then he should get the Meyer Big Key off of Argus here, and then he'll know exactly where to go next.
Yep, it's like I said. He knew once you got the cane right there, might as well just clear the rest of it, finish off Argus, because you're right there. It'd be a waste of time not to, as Floof now taking on Land Mollusk here in Desert.
It looks like we're going to get a couple quick kills from both these guys.
Nice kill there for Chex, getting his Meyer Big Key. And Floof is heading... no, he's heading to Eastern. Oh, that's going to cost him.
Yeah, interesting that he chose not to do the last pod chest in combo with this, which would have been the easier play to make. So, I don't know. Hopefully they haven't just forgotten that that chest is a thing. And again, I think once Chex is done with Meyer, they will basically not have anything left to check and know that Turtle Rock is the answer in some form, which, they'll be hoping just to see the Astrod, and we know that's what's waiting for them.
All right, so Floof now making his way over to the Armos Knights. We know that's not going to pay off for him here, unfortunately, but Chex is working his way through Meyer, which, while item-wise was pretty barren, it is a crystal dungeon, so that is going to work out for him and help him continue what is basically going to be his lead at this point.
Yeah, if Raspberryfloof goes straight into pod from here, then this will be still fairly close, I think, but if they choose to go somewhere else, and I'm not entirely sure where they could go, but if for some reason they don't go into pod, then they're just going to fall. They're just going to start falling behind. I don't recall what Sasha had. I know it wasn't anything too notable. Key, maybe?
No, it wasn't anything important. Well, Armos did have that small key to pod, which will help Floof a little bit, but not by much, since he was pretty much already by the end by that point. So since he already checked laser bridge, he kind of did need that small key.
Oh right, yeah, that was where that was. Oh right, it was a big key to Swamp House, but we know that's not anything important now. So hopefully they just go to Pod and not to Swamp, and they're fluting. So, oh wait, well they could be fluting to 5. Let's see. Oh, I think they're gonna go into Swamp. They might have forgotten that chest in Pod, which is very unfortunate.
Yep. Chex is taking on Vitreous again. Very quick kill there, no trouble whatsoever. He's gonna finish off that, get his crystal, and now all he's got left is that ice rod. He is essentially on his way to go mode.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's gonna go anywhere but to Turtle Rock right now.
And indeed, Chex floating his way up to Death Mountain. He is on his way to Turtle Rock. He's gonna find that ice rod, and yeah, this game is on its way to its end.
Yeah, he should be able to skip Laser Bridge entirely.
Most likely. And the only thing that's gonna really cost him is the Butter Sword, which these runners don't really need that. I mean, that can do just fine with Tempered Sword and Silvers.
Yeah, even without Silvers, he might be inclined to skip Laser Bridge because it's just, I mean, what's Tempered? It's really not that hard to do. Butter Sword was on Laser Bridge, which Chex will be in go mode before he gets to Laser Bridge, so he won't have any reason to find that sword because he can just skip straight to Trinix. And we're gonna see what this Swamp Big Chest had. It was a big key to. Oh wait, right. That's what that was.
No, that's gonna throw him even further off.
Right.
Now he's gonna have to check that first too. Oh
yeah, I forgot. I don't know why I thought that Raspberryfloof could check the big key to the big chest of Skullwoods, because obviously he couldn't have. I was thinking of another race, I think.
It happens. And sure enough, he's heading up to Skullwoods now. Oh, poor Floof. He doesn't know.
I really think he's forgotten that chest, but we'll see if he remembers if this jogs his memory when he doesn't find anything here, or if maybe he stares at his map for a minute to try to figure out what's going on and what happened. That's another one of those funny big key for big key exchanges that tends to happen a lot in Keysanity.
Answer your question, chat. Fire Rod is at the Vanilla Big Key chest in Palace of Darkness, and unfortunately, Floof missed that chest, and now he just checked the Skullwoods Big Chest, didn't find it there. He's still looking for it, and we also found out there was a small key to Thieves Town. That was one of the items that Raspberry couldn't check earlier.
Oh hey, now you can go defeat Blind. He's in the logic. Just an example of why sometimes following the logic exactly can be detrimental to your run. It's good to keep in mind, but...
no, he's heading up back to Aga Tower. He's gonna check that other chest.
Oh yeah, that is open, isn't it? Yeah, you gotta imagine that he's just not thinking about Pod at all. Like, maybe he thinks he full cleared it. I don't know.
So at this point, we're just watching Chex, waiting for him to get to that ice rod. Only a matter of time for him. It's a spot you don't miss, so he's gonna find it soon.
Yeah, and him coming in here with all these 4 keys, like he can check this chest and not burn or not be worried about finding another key later.
And oh no, I think Floof just found the big key to Ice Palace.
Oh yeah, that had to be somewhere for Logic too. Ooh, but he's. Oh, where is he gonna go? Where is he gonna go? He's going to. I don't know where he's going at all.
Oh, it was a small key cyclone. Never mind.
Did he not do Spike Cave? Maybe.
That might be what he's checking. Either way, he's not going to pod, so it doesn't matter where he's going. He's not going where he needs to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. Would have been more efficient to do Spike Cave while he was up here, but maybe he just didn't want to deal with it. I don't know what his total is going to be, but I doubt it's going to be 190 chat. It's not going to end up having to check anything again in his tower. That takes a lot off the total.
It really does. Chex is going to check, at least check Mimic Cave. Not going to find anything there, but he is just a few rooms away from go mode.
It does bring up the question of where is that big key to Ice Palace? Maybe on Trinex, because it does have to be somewhere.
That's very true.
Which again, that would expect the logic would expect you to go all the way to Trinex and then back down to defeat Ice Palace, which is not the efficient way. So, again, logic is good to keep in mind, but sometimes very worth breaking.
Oh, finally, Floof is making the play.
Well, maybe he just didn't want it to be that chest. You know, sometimes you make that play and you're like, I'm going to skip this chest, and then you really do make it the very last thing you do because you're just like, I'm committed to this decision, and my decision was to skip this chest, so I'm going to do 100% of everything else before I come back here. Which is something that can really hurt you depending on if it has a good item.
Indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, check your watches, because do you know what time it is? It's go mode time.
Yeah, 1 hour, 52-minute go mode, that's not too bad. It's not going to be too bad of a seed time-wise. Even Raspberry's not going to have too bad of a time, even though they're a little bit behind.
That's pretty impressive.
And they should know that they don't need anything out of Skullwood, so they should be in go mode as well.
They are. They just grabbed their fire rods, so they are good to go. And while it is going to put him a bit behind, having to go back into Turtle Rock and go through all of that to get back there, he's not super far behind. Like, he could have been a lot worse, all things considered.
Yeah, they both ended up putting off some checks that they needed to put off, so they ended up checking a lot of the same stuff. Raspberry did a couple extra things in the end, which shows the slight difference that they're on right now, but yeah, overall, they're really not that far behind for missing that fire rod as long as they did.
Check's getting a pretty good fight here on Try Next. All he's got to do is take this last stage out. If he's lucky, he can get the quick kill on. He's setting up for it. And he's got it. Quick kill on Trinex. He is done. He's got his last crystal. He is on his way to Ganon's tower. He's already got the big key. He is in really good shape right now.
Yep, there it is. Ice Palace big key, as I suspected. It was either going to be that or the powder to lead to the Ice Palace big key.
That would have been bad. But at this point, we don't have, at this point, it could have been anything. I don't think Chex would have cared. He's got what he needs.
Yeah, that was just basically the last spot before Ganon's tower that they had available for them to get, so it seemed pretty likely.
Yeah. Answer a question in chat. The last sword upgrade for Butter Sword is on Laser Bridge. That's why Raspberry's got it. Because this is a double dip for pod, for Turtle Rock for him.
Alright, so Chex is going to come in here. We've got the Ganon Tower big key. He's got 4 small keys, which he doesn't even need all of. He's just going to run straight upstairs. We're not going to see the basement today. No guessing game. Ganon's Tower big key was in chest like 113 or something. 127, I don't know. He's got lots of hearts and red mail, so shouldn't be too bad off here.
Literally, the only difference between our two runners is that Raspberry's going to have Butter Sword, but honestly, that's not going to make a huge difference here.
Yeah, I mean, Tempered and Butter, there's not a big difference as far as execution goes. Master and Tempered, it's a little bit more, but even then, Chex has got a pretty solid lead, so... Also, he has Silver's Fire Rod, half magic, so the gauntlet should be pretty easy to get through.
Let's see how his execution goes for it here. He's not off to a good start here so far. These Style Lords are not going to make it easy for him.
Yeah, these guys are really good at dodging swords. Floof gonna be able to get a pretty quick kill with Butter on Trinex here. Just 3 hits on each head, and down he goes.
Yeah, but Chex had a really good gauntlet run, so unfortunately, it may be a case of too little too late for Raspberry, even if he does get a good kill on you. And he didn't even get the quick kill with Butter Sword, just barely after he got the pretty decent fight.
It was a nice quick kill on the Landmollas there, though, in Gauntlet.
Not what Floof was hoping for. He wants to hope Chex is taking his time, but unfortunately, Chex is just murdering this Gauntlet, getting past those Style Robes, across the bridge. Yeah, he's in perfect shape. This is nothing for him. He's got this pretty much in the bag.
Yeah, I'd imagine Floof probably feels a little bit behind, just based on where the Fire Rod was and how much earlier they could have had it.
And as if they didn't have enough savies, bear in mind, they both have at least 1 blue potion still stocked up that they haven't used, so Chex has very little to worry about at this point.
Yeah, all of this should be pretty trivial. Even the Ganon fight, they've got Tempered and Silvers. And there's just nothing that should cause them any real concern.
Nice land mode, or nice Moldorm 2 there for Chex. Just has extra cards. Will he at least check the last chest? No, he does not. He is just going straight through.
Hey, when you're in a 1v1 race and you're at the end, ain't nobody got the time for that. If you haven't seen a dot done, you just keep on going and you don't need anything else.
Fair point.
Alright,
now we're on to Aga 2 here.
Let's see what kind of crap patterns we get from Aga today. Well, that was pretty good. We got a double there, so that's 3
Not
hits,
bad.
I believe. Alright, should be a couple more hits. And there he goes.
There we go. Check's very nicely done on Aga 2 there, and now it's time for the big pig.
Meanwhile, Floof is starting the gauntlet, so they shouldn't be too far behind. So all in all, it's going to be a pretty close race.
So here we go now. Chex starting his fight here on Ganon, while Raspberry is working his way up the gauntlet.
Yeah, I got him in the second phase very quickly, and I think he might already be in the third phase.
That he is.
Yeah, real nice, fast, clean fight there.
Now it's just a matter of not taking too many hits from the pig, making sure to keep those torches lit. Whether or not he uses the torch glitch is up to him. He doesn't really need it. And then just, of course, land the hits on him.
Yeah, the torch glitch can actually be less attractive to get if you have silvers, because you can set up for doubles a little bit easier, but he goes ahead and gets it. And still gets a double. That's pretty nice.
Not bad at all. And he gets the fill. We've got bacon, ladies and gentlemen.
It was a nice, quick, clean fight. Raspberryfloof is almost at the end of the end of Aga Tower here, so 3-4 minutes, they'll be right behind him.
Indeed, Chexhuman finishing with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 6 seconds. GG to Chexhuman. Raspberry getting through the gauntlet now. He's up to the torch rooms here. Not bad. And we're gonna see if we can get Chexhuman here for an interview.
Raspberry's gonna have to watch out here. They don't have powder. They're gonna end up having to burn that blue potion before they get all the way through to Ganon, most likely.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Either that or he's gonna have to grab that fairy off the tree there at the pyramid. And the finals just had a map to Tower of Hera. Wow, that's useful.
Pretty handy place to have that, huh?
Yeah, no kidding.
They're supposed to change the logic soon so that maps are available theoretically available before you do the dungeon in question. So that probably isn't going to happen too much for crystal maps anymore. As of V29.
Ooh, and Floof takes a hit. He's forced to use that blue potion as we suspected.
Yeah, better safe than climbing the Ganon's Tower twice. Or yeah, that's just a long, long way.
Yeah, if that happened, I would not be surprised if he ended up forfeiting at that point. But he wants to at least try to finish this race.
Yeah, I despawned Ganon's Tower once, and I was like, nope, done. Pretty good fight though. Aghanim goes down, and Raspberryfloof on their way to Ganon, just a little bit behind Chexhuman.
Yes, Cyclone Chex did say he was going to join us here shortly. He just now responded a little bit ago. Yep, speak of the devil, there he is. Chexhuman joining us here in the channel. Congratulations on your win, Chex.
Thank you.
So how you feeling after that seed?
I'm almost out of breath, but I feel good. I was a mess at the beginning, and I kind of pulled myself together.
You did good. You did good. What saved you actually was actually nothing that you did specifically, but the fact that you grabbed the fire rod early in pod Floof had left that behind and didn't realize it until after he dipped into Turtle Rock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they did pretty much 100% of everything before they went back to pods, so that threw them back a little bit. But they are about to finish here in just a second, so they weren't too far off.
Pod is usually a disaster for me to route, and even this time I went through the circle like 4 times, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's always fun going in there without all 6 keys and having to make that loop about 1 million times. And actually, there was actually 5 keys available before you went in there if you went to Swamp first, which was what Raspberryfloof went in there with, because they actually chose the Swamp play pretty early. But still, you just end up having even with 5 keys, you just end up having to loop that so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Floof did just finish up. He actually finishes with an official SRO time of 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 33 seconds, and even managed to get a personal best, beating his time by 3:39.
Nice.
So, did you have anything about this seed that stood out to you that was that you enjoyed?
I don't know. That fire rod, of course, was nice. I like how Swamp is sort of a Misery Mire care package. And I thought about going there after I finished Desert Palace.
Yeah, the ironic part about that is you were in Pod and Raspberryfloof was in Swamp, and you got the Fluid and Midst, and then they got the Cane and the Mire Big Key, and it was like, well, collectively, we just got the Mire Care package, and we can full clear that.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Floof, Raspberryfloof joining us now here in the channel. GG there, Floof.
Hello, and GG to you, Chex.
GG.
So, Floof, how you feeling after that?
That fire rod, man.
Yeah, that one got you.
It's the second race in a row where I had one item for go mode at the very end, and it's in the last possible place. Of course, last time it didn't matter because Gem hovered, but still.
Yeah, that fire. If you had found that fire rod sooner, you probably would have gotten this race because you had a pretty good lead going in. But then Turtle Rock, not having that fire rod, kind of threw you off at Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I was afraid. I was like, I don't know the specifics on how you can soft lock yourself in Pod, so I wanted to make sure I had like at least one spare key. So that's why I kept going around the right way and skipping that main door.
Right.
And I just never thought to come back for that one chest and didn't get it before I left. So
Yeah, there was actually 5 keys available, and with the bow and the hammer, you can clear all the chests out. So this would have been a seed where you wouldn't have really been able to do that to yourself, assuming that you managed to assuming that you remembered to do the front door skip.
But yeah, everything else went smoothly till the end.
And you didn't do half bad. Heck, you got yourself a PB on that one, so obviously you didn't do half bad, all things considered.
Yeah, even with the extra checks, it was pretty close that you did at the end there.
What were some of the extra checks?
Aghanim's Tower, second chest, and the Swamp Palace big chest, because Raspberry, you didn't do the Eastern Palace before you went to Swamp, so you didn't have that big key, and then Skullwood's big chest, since that key was in the Swamp Palace big chest.
Yeah, those were on my list in case Ice Rod wasn't in Turtle Rock.
By the time you went in there, we had already seen Floof pick it up, so we pretty much knew that once you got to that one roller room, you were in go mode.
Yeah, Ice Rod and Turtle Rock. Who would have thought?
Right. Not only do I see it there often, I see it in that chest a lot. I don't know the percentages, but I could look it up.
All right. So, any final thoughts from either of you guys before we sign off?
My Ganon fight was better. It was sort of a 1-in-1 cycle. In my last race, I failed a Ganon twice.
Yeah, definitely a bit of improvement there. You killed that Ganon fight. Absolutely.
Thanks.
Anyway, but GG to both of you guys. Make sure you give both Chexhuman and Raspberryfloof a follow on Twitch. They deserve it after that amazing race. Make sure you also follow all of our Speed Gaming channels, Speed Gaming 1 through 4, Randomania 1 through 4, ALTTP Randomizer 1 through 4, so that you can keep up with all of the Keysanity action. And speaking of, right now we actually have a dual race going on. We have Fand and Zelnus, as well as Emosaru versus Ivan, all happening on Speed Gaming 3. And we also have another race between Weighty Words and Mr. Barry Bonds over on ALTTP Randomizer, so make sure you guys don't miss out on that. And then we have a ton of races that I'm not even going to begin to list off going on tomorrow. So make sure you follow all of our channels so you can see all of those races and more. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys for joining us all here on Speed Gaming. On behalf of everybody here, my name is The Shades. And as I always like to say, rock on, guys.